Hello. Today we're reading again from Vijay's book, My Years with the Himalayan Mystic. It's Sri Babaji from the Himalayas. He likes to hide himself because then he has more time for meditation and his devotees are not bothering him with all kinds of their problems and so forth. But if he is there, then all your problems is gone. And better listen to Babaji's story because it can inspire you to get to Babaji. He doesn't need a phone. He doesn't need like this a live streaming. You can just call him, Babaji, please help me. Okay, chapter 61, the Chopper Affair. Every detail of the 3rd of February 1984 is etched in my mind in black and white. In all its starkness, Babaji was pulling me to him, and I was missing him with a terrible ache that was almost physical. I reached Katkodam at 9 in the morning by car and began the walk to Harakan. The distance from the Jamrani Dam to Harakan is about 6 to 7 kilometers. There was a bridge over the river. At some places, it was so low that one had to wade through thigh-high water. Then came the climb on the path that ribboned the mountains. I reached Harakan at about 3 p.m. and knocked on the door. Gora, Babaji's first foreign devotee, who had been so named by him, opened it, giving me a huge smile of welcome. Babaji was missing you. I almost ran to him and bowed at his feet. Birju, exclaimed Babaji, we were thinking about you. He then inquired, did Modi accept the money for the helicopter ride? No, Prabhu, I said. Babaji had flown down to Calcutta to Delhi that January. Before flying out from Calcutta, he had told me, Birju, we'll go by helicopter from Delhi to Herakan, hire one. We shall pay the fare. Babaji had agreed to stay at Rajesh pilot's house during his stopover in Delhi. He had also asked me to request for a car at the landing site itself. Pilot was a member of parliament, MP from the Congress party. I mentioned Babaji's instruction in passing to him and he went ahead and booked Biki Modi's helicopter. In spite of Babaji's attempts to stop him, Modi was Pilotji's friend. I then requested Mr. Pilot to let him know the helicopter fare. He replied that the cost of the flight was about 40,000 rupees per hour, and the helicopter would take off from Safdurjung Airport in South Delhi. Rajesh Pilot, his wife, Ramaji, and both their children came to the airport with several other devotees to see Babaji off. I must have looked anxious. Noticing this, Babaji said, don't worry, we'll pay for the helicopter. I'm not worried about it, I said, trying to appear nonchalant. Just then the pilot came up to us and said, the helicopter is ready. Pilot made the introductions. He first introduced Modi to Babaji and told him this is Mr. B.K. Modi. He owns the helicopter and will fly with you till Rampur. The other gentleman is the pilot, Trehan, after Modi drops off at Rampur. They both bowed to Babaji. B.K. Modi had a factory at Rampur and he decided to join Babaji and his entourage on the chopper. Trehanji became quite devoted to Babaji and would later go on to become the chairman of Viaduct, a joint venture helicopter company, by Babaji's grace. They all climbed into the helicopter. Babaji, Mahamuniraj Shastriji, and Bamba Devi of Bombay. Biki sat in the front next to Trehanji. The chopper took off and soon disappeared into distance. Once they were out of sight, the pilot family and I turned to leave the airport. Before we parted, I reminded Rajeshji about the fare. Babaji has instructed me to pay the fare. Please let me know where I have to make the payment. Rajesh pilot followed up on the matter and had a word with Trehanji, who told him that Biki Modi had refused to accept any payment for the helicopter ride. Tell Pilotji that just as Babaji is his guru, he has become mine test. For you, William.
Okay, now we continue with chapter 62, From Religion to Politics.
I will have to say bye on this queue. I'll see you next week.
Okay,
See you next
bye
week.
bye.
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 Okay, my mind was moving away from Babaji, and my attention was tilting towards Rajesh Pilot and his family. Babaji was on his way back from Bombay to Vrindavan, and I had hopped into the train at Bharatpur. Shastriji was in the coupe with him. I had taken milk for Babaji and some tea in a thermos for Shastriji. En route, I asked Babaji to enlighten me about Rajeshji's fall on his way back from Hirakan. He explained that he could fine-tune events affecting human lives. They have to suffer, but their suffering can be mitigated so that they are minimal. My doubts resolved. My thoughts moved on to my next move. Before we reached Mathura, I said, Prabhu, I have to go to Delhi. I have some work there. He snapped, You are lying. You have no work. We know why you are going. I was in a dilemma. Babaji was displeased, and I hated annoying him. If I stayed now, he would continue to accuse me of lying. In the end, despite his displeasure, I took off for Delhi by train and told Ramaji that Babaji had reached Vrindavan. I came back to Vrindavan that very day by the Janata Express. Night had fallen and most of Babaji's followers had left for their lodgings, but some of his main devotees were still in the temple. Babaji was pacing up and down in the veranda. Suddenly, he said in a loud voice, Birju, come here. You lied to us. You had no work in Delhi. You only went to meet Ramaji. What do you want to become? We will make you whatever you want to be, right now. He insulted me so much in front of everyone that I fled to Bharatpur. The next day, Babaji was to come to Bharatpur to visit Brijraj Singh, secretary of the soldiers' board. He and his family were great devotees of Babaji. I was very downcast because Babaji had never displayed so much anger towards me before. I was in two minds. Should I go to receive him or not? I did not mind its anger, because he was my God, and he had every right to say whatever he wished to me. In the end, I felt Babaji tugging at me heartstrings. I felt Babaji tugging at my heartstrings, and I decided to go. I went to the Bharatpur border with a few other devotees, carrying some garlands. We were on 2 or 3 motorcycles. Lord Hirakan was in a Fiat car. I think Bansi Rajan was driving it, and Babaji was sitting in the passenger seat in front. The back seat was occupied by Bamba Devi, Dinu Gilder, Ban Shishi's wife, and Paluburn. Babaji saw me and stopped the car. He stepped out, and we all welcomed him with garlands. Then Babaji looked at me and said, "Come and sit with us in the car." I squeezed myself between Banji and Prabhu. As soon as I sat, he said, "Birju, you are angry with us." I said, "You are everything to me. How can I be angry with you?" A little while later, we reached Krishna Nagar and went into Brijraj Singh's house, where Babaji was given a grand welcome. When he went into the room which had been set aside for him, he said, "Son, you have served us well. We want people to come to you. We don't want you to go to people." Bamba Devi and the others were present at the time. I apologized for the error of my ways and said that from now on I would do whatever he wished. The next day he went back on to Vrindavan. By now, Rajeshi had become so fond of me that he would call me whenever I was in Bharatpur. As long as he was on tour in the area, he would be with me. I would be with him. I always wanted Babaji to bestow his grace on the pilot family. Babaji was staying at Dr. Rao's house. I went there for his darshan. For some reason, Rajeshi and Ramaji could not accompany me. Babaji noticed and said, "We scolded you. You must have told Ramaji. That's why she didn't come." "No, Prabhu, I did not tell her," I replied. That evening, I went to the pilot residence and informed them that Babaji was in Delhi at Rao's house. Rajeshi hurried off to meet Babaji the same evening and requested him to grace his house. The following day, Babaji went there for a short while in the evening and left as soon as the Aarti and Puja were over. On several occasions, Rajeshi would prompt me to go to Babaji with a question that was constantly running through his mind. "Ask Babaji when I'll become a minister." I asked Babaji. He said, "Let the time come, we will definitely tell you." On another occasion, Babaji was at Shabarwali's house in Tilak Nagar in Delhi. I informed Rajeshi that Babaji was in Delhi. We should go there. We drove to Delhi through the night by jeep. Ratan Singh, executive engineer at the waterworks, was with us. He became an MP from Bharatpur after retirement. We reached Shabarwalji's house after a bath at 4:30 in the morning. Rajeshi, Ramaji, and their children left to get Chandam chandan paste applied by Babaji, which he would do with his own hands. Rajeshi liked to stand in line, but the queue was very long. Now and then, Babaji would call out to devotees. He spotted Rajeshi and summoned him. We went in and immersed with chandan on our brows. Babaji asked Rajeshi to stay back in the room and wait. The rest of us went out. After the chandan had been applied on everyone, he called me in. Babaji and Shastriji were shining in the moon, were sitting in the room with some other devotees. Rajeshi, as I mentioned earlier, was already there. Babaji said, Rajeshi, we can make you a minister, but only if you raise your voice against corruption. Rajeshi replied, what can I do on my own? Babaji's response was, why do you consider yourself weak? Lord Rama was alone, Krishna was alone, but they changed everything. You should have courage. Babaji then turned to me. Birju, we will dictate, you write. The letter was addressed to Mr. Indira Gandhi, and its gist was as follows. Mr. Gyani Jail Singh is not auspicious for the Congress. When he was Home Minister, he had weapons transported to the Golden Temple. He made me close the letter with the words, we can save this world, signed 1008 Hirakam Baba. Once the letter was composed, he said, Rajeshi, hand this letter to Indira Gandhi. Inside, in Babaji's presence, Rajeshi quietly took the letter, but as soon as we came out, he said, Vijay, you keep this. Gyani Sali Singhji is my friend. I will not be able to give this letter to Indira Gandhi. That evening, Babaji asked, will Rajeshi be able to deliver the letter? No, he will not. This is a task that requires courage. He gave the letter to me as soon as we went out, I told him, and recounted that Rajeshi had said to me. Babaji said, Brilli, we knew. The wheel of time moved on. Babaji was coming to Delhi from Calcutta, and this time he had agreed to stay with Rajesh Pilot. He called me from Calcutta and said, wherever our plane lands, get a car to pick us up with Rajeshi. Private cars are not allowed into the airport. Shastriji and Muniraj had accompanied Babaji. They all came to South Darchung Road, number 3, where Babaji had consented to stay for a day. The next day, a helicopter was supposed to take them to Hirakam. I have mentioned this earlier. While eating prasad that night, Rajeshi and Ramaji said, Babaji, please tell Vijay to stay with us. He said no. The next day, as he climbed into the helicopter, he said, Son, Ramaji and Rajeshi are very insistent. Why don't you stay with them? And he flew off to Hirakam. Rajeshi said, Vijay, now that we have Babaji's permission, you must stay with us. The second phase of my life began. I turned from religion to politics. Bole Baba Ki Jai. This is the end of chapter 62. And I think here we end this meeting. And next time we have still a few chapters to go. 63, 64, 65, up to 66.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.